Hi everyone. I wanted to do a bit of a channel update and an introduction of a project that I've started working as of yesterday and a couple of days before that, and I started taking it seriously yesterday. And it came about, how it came about, and so on. I wanted to discuss it with you and so on. I First of all, just I'll probably repeating something, but just in case it's a new viewer or something. I've been sick for a very long time, and now I'm sort of pretty much disabled and housebound for last about 2.5 years. Um, Before that, I used to travel quite a lot, and I didn't really know much about this bug out bag kind of thing, which sort of I've kind of researched now, and I know quite a lot about it. But I was always and I didn't even know the term prepper, so I think I've always been a prepper because I've always been prepared and I've always liked to be prepared, but I never knew that the word prepper or preparing community existed. And since I've gotten into it, I've made so many friends and I've received so much support. And there is the three people here that I know will hopefully watch my video. One is a chap and two other ladies, and I speak to you on Twitter, so I won't mention your names in case but you know who you are from that introduction. They've been a great support to me, and they sort of share similar interests and so on. So, being sort of disabled now, being quite weak, I wanted to do something a bit different, but following the bug out theme bug out theme. I have an EDC bag, you know, and when I go to the hospitals, I always carry that bag, and that's a 511 Rush 24 bag. And I carry my medication, spare clothes, and technology in that, and so on and so forth. So a lot of people do a bug out bag, and for me, it's a bit difficult to have two bags because I have to keep that EDC bag on me because it has my life support equipment in it, and that's essential for me. But I would also need to have a bug out bag. Say, if we were having a natural flood or if I needed to evacuate the house for any reason, it doesn't have to be something outlandish. It could be anything. Say that there's been a water pipe burst and I don't have water in the house and it won't be restored for 3 or 4 days, so I have to go and live at a friend's house or a hotel or a hostel or something. Or if there's a flood, or if there's a gas leak, maybe not in my house, maybe next door or in the mains, and the utility company has locked down the entire road for a couple of days, because let's be honest, it will take a couple of days to fix, and that's not their fault. That's just how things happen because they need to investigate and make people safe. So the concept I want to sort of explore, which would be a lot easier, is to have and I'll write it down. Bug out. Okay, that's the theme. Okay, that's my project. Bug out suitcase. Now, you'll be thinking, what? Well, let me explain. A lot of modern travelers have these really small suitcases that they can pack everything into, and you see tons of videos on YouTube about how to pack light and how to pack how to live out of a small suitcase for a year or endlessly and so on. I have a lot of opinions on that, and I have a lot of practical opinions on that, and the reason I have those opinions is because of my disabilities, because those videos are only pretty much aimed, and I'm not criticizing those videos, I'm just sort of giving my perspective on those videos. Those videos are always pretty much aimed at young, healthy, not even young, I apologize, no, they're aimed at healthy people, capable of traveling anywhere, and that they can be sort of in New York in one day, the other day it can be in San Francisco, then they could fly to sort of Berlin or to Dubai or to Australia, and they could live out their suitcases and be back in a couple of days and everything's fine. That's beautiful. I would love to do that, and I used to be able to do that. Obviously I had a lot of stuff with me for work and so on, but I'd love to do that, but I can't. It's just not possible, I'm being honest. So those suitcases aren't really relative, because a lot of them just have clothes and a wash-up bag and a few accessories, but for me, half my suitcase will be medication, flat out. So I'd never see any of them covering that aspect. So I wanted to do a bug out suitcase which was sort of orientated towards people who aren't sort of 100% fit, and they might have sort of other things in life that they need to cater for. For example, you might have an injured leg, or you might be excessively ill like me, or you might have children. That sort of it adds an element that needs to be catered for. So that made me think that if you have a bug out suitcase, a small one, with your main suitcase, it just makes your life so much easier. And again, you're not always going to bug out to the woods. It just won't always happen, because certainly for people like me who are unwell, we can't bug out to the woods, because if we go bug out to the woods, our medical problems are just going to increase exponentially. They're not even going to be asymptotically low, they're just going to increase exponentially. And I would put search and rescue in danger, because I would be in exceptional problem if I was bugging out to the woods. And then I would most likely, let's be honest, I would most likely, and I would admit it, I would most likely perish. In a tough environment, I would perish. So my bug out locations are slightly different. They're not outdoor, even though I love expeditions. But in an emergency situation, I have bug out locations which are different to healthy people. So in a suitcase, what kind of suitcase would you have? Well, I recommend having a 50-litre suitcase, and a suitcase which has then 4 wheels at the bottom. So instead of having the 2 wheels, if you have a 4-wheel suitcase, then you can just sort of push it anywhere, instead of having to sort of drag it like you have to do other suitcases which only come on 2 wheels. That increases the load on the human body. But if you have a suitcase with 4 wheels, then you can just sort of you can just push it very easily, and it just makes life a lot easier. And you also get to sort of 2 compartments in the suitcase. So you have a deeper compartment usually at the bottom, and then you have a top compartment, and then you have the frame, the handle to pull the suitcase, and you have the top compartment, which I'll call section 2, and then you have section 1. So you can put things into there and move them about very quickly, very effectively around your location. So if you needed to take the coach, so you could have a backpack with you, and then you could have your suitcase with you, and even if you had 2 suitcases, they could be very easily pushed and dragged along. So for me, I'm going to start working on this bug out suitcase, and I'm going to start making other videos to show you what I put into it. I currently do have a suitcase, a bug out suitcase, which I keep at home, and that it wasn't always a bug out suitcase. I actually used to travel with it. It was my main suitcase. It is a 50-litre suitcase. It's a Helly Hansen suitcase. It's actually off the screen at the moment. It's a 50-litre suitcase, but that has it has 2 wheels. So I am actually going to be replacing this one and getting a 4-wheeled one. I'm looking at the Victorinox brand at the moment, and there's another thing, you should always look for a suitcase that is light and not a hard shell, because hard shells really don't they take away, they reap away the capability of a soft shell suitcase. If you have anything to protect, put it in bubble wrap. Okay, you don't need to put into expensive pouches. Make a package out of a bubble wrap, like an envelope out of a bubble wrap, and put it into there, and it'll be fine. Trust me, I've done that a lot of times with sensitive equipment, and it's come out fine. Even the suitcases come out fine. So I like soft skin suitcases, and that is what I would recommend to you. 50 litres is good, and you could even have 2 50 litres. You could split it. You could have 1 50 litre just for your clothes, and a second 50 litre for necessary equipment, so your medication, your maybe a cooker, maybe whatever. And I will cover that in I will give you ideas. I'm not going to go over brands. I'm not going to say I have this and I have that. There is 2 things that I will mention, and I'll mention the brand of them simply because they are the best quality I have found, and reliable, because I've asked my sisters to go out and test them, because fortunately they are quite outdoorsy and they're quite fit and healthy, so they get to go out and do things for me that I can't do. So they've highly recommended those two things, and I will recommend them. And I'm not really advertising the brand on that. I'm advertising the thing, and it just happens to be part of that brand. Apologize. And in terms of the whole project, I'm not going to really go for, I have this and I have that. I'm just going to give you generic suggestions. I will get the suitcase out and I'll show you. I mean, it just has two wheels, but until I buy the four-wheeled one, I will just keep using my two-wheeled one because it's perfectly fine. But if you're going to buy one, I would definitely recommend please buy the four-wheeled one. It's just much easier to use. What I will do is I won't even put things into it. I'm just going to get those big post-it notes and write things on them, just because I don't want it to be a brand, sort of a product review, a brand recommendation of any kind. I just want it to be, look, you can put this. You should consider putting this in this category and this in this category. So for example, for me, I'll give you an example, like in section 1 I would definitely have my medicine. Okay, and this is what I will do. I will put a post-it note and say like section 1 medicine. And I would definitely recommend, say, if you have a heart condition, or if you have arthritis, or if you have if you need to take like thyroxine, which is a life condition medication, or if you're a diabetic. I am a diabetic. I have a pump, so I need my pump supplies. I also have multiple sclerosis, MS, so I need stuff for that. I need IVs for that. I also have a bad liver. I was born with a bad liver. It was damaged when I was born, so I was born with a bad liver. So I mean, I have lots of problems. So I mean, I really hope that you don't have any problems. But let's be realistic. If you do, then you need to cater for it. So I would definitely say have like times 30 days worth of medication, and this is the medication that is not. This is the medication that is in date, but you don't touch. Okay, so this is your emergency backup medication. And sometimes doctors always don't give you the emergency medication, especially with controlled drugs. So you need to speak to your doctor about it and say, look, I need to be prepared if things go wrong. I live in an area where there could be floods. I can't always leave the house. Perhaps I live with someone who's really too busy to, do small things. Sometimes it's just going to work can be a very big thing, and doing small things, even like getting medication for someone, even though it's a big thing for one person, it could be like a really minuscule thing for someone else, or it could be just what I'm trying to say. So you should have like a supply for your medication, and then other things that I will recommend, how to look after yourself when you're out and about. The other thing that I will definitely recommend is, for section 1, I would definitely recommend some food. And I will explain what type of food I mean, because especially everything I usually have is always geared towards traveling. Even though now I'm housebound, I still keep that capability. One, it cheers me up. Secondly, it allows me to be sort of connected with my former industry, former job, former way of thinking, former travel, and so on. And then third, it just ties in nicely with my new life in terms of adapting to things, and to be self-sufficiency, self-catering, self-sufficiency. And the thing about self-sufficiency is a lot of people have this mentality of we pay our taxes, and if the government or the Air Force or the Marines don't come for us, it's their fault. No, it's not their fault. I highly object to that. It's not their fault. And don't say it's their job either. I really object to that. People in that category, nurses, doctors, search and rescue guys, ladies and gentlemen, they do it because they want to do it, and so don't put any kind of blame onto them. And they have to prioritize. They have to prioritize, because you might be an 18-year-old person, and your neighbour might be an 80-year-old elderly chap. Who are they going to go for first? Well, they're going to go for that 80-year-old elderly chap, regardless of what you say or what you think. So you need to have some sort of responsibility. And people always say freedom of speech and freedom of expression and freedom of do what the hell you want. Yeah, okay, fair enough, but within measure. And with that measure comes an item of responsibility. And I think it makes good societies to have a measure of responsibility. If everyone has responsibilities, we can gel together very well. that's the series, and I'll carry on with other videos on this series. Thank you very much for watching.